Being accountable to yourself and to others, it's a huge part of success as a guitarist. Today, I help you reach that next step and supercharge your progress by changing the way you think about practice. So stay tuned. Hello and welcome, friends, to episode 148 of the Play Guitar Podcast. I'm Lee, and this is the podcast that's determined to make you a better guitar player. No matter if you're just starting out or you've been playing for years, this is the show that will help you become the guitarist that you always wanted to be. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe to the podcast and check out the description for all of the links from the show. Well, this is most likely going to be a short one, a short but powerful podcast. Let me tell you what this show isn't. This podcast isn't placing blame or being negative. You can consider this a pep talk, but most likely you never took the time to think that how you approach practicing guitar can deliver some really big results. So far in this series, this is about making the most of your practice time. I've gone over setting small goals. I've gone over using a metronome, and they're both really good actions that will put you on a shorter path to being a really good musician. But listen to this. Does this sound familiar? You want to be able to play guitar, but when things aren't working out, that's the end of it. You go back to jamming. You go back to Old Faithful, and at least you're back to enjoying yourself, even if you may not be getting any better. You tried, it didn't work out right away, and so it's on to something else. But today, I'm dealing with something different that deals with how you approach practicing. Today's about mindset. And to make the most of today's podcast, we need to have a good understanding of three things. And these things are what a responsibility is, what being accountable means, and here's the one to focus on, and how to hold yourself accountable. Ooh, that's the one. That's the one for guitar players. That's what we're doing here today. We're learning about holding ourselves accountable. And make sure you stay all the way to the end. I've got some easy steps that you can take to add accountability to your practice. So what's a responsibility? That was the first one. A responsibility is a thing you take on. It's a task. It's something that has to be done, something that has to be taken care of. But it's not just something you have to do alone. A responsibility can be shared. Many people can work. You can work together, and everyone's responsible for doing something, the same thing, the same task. But the big thing about this is that if it messes up, if it's not successful, you're not really having to answer to anyone about it. Here's an example. I'm responsible for taking out the trash. If I don't do it, if I forget to do it one night, it's not the end of the world. There's no one I have to report to. It's not a big deal, right? But here's the difference. Being accountable, it's about taking ownership of a responsibility. And if you're accountable and something doesn't work right, it's not successful, you're the one who has to answer for it. You might have that same team of people all performing a task, but if it fails, the person who's the one has to go and answer for it, has to go to the boss and say, messed up. That's the person who's really accountable for it. And part of being accountable is deciding that something's going to get done regardless of what it takes. I hope you can see how this is moving towards guitar right here. So here we are, holding yourself accountable. Why would you want to be accountable to yourself when learning guitar? It's time to take ownership of your journey. And this advice is for a few of my students, and I hope they know that I'm talking right to them. So what does that mean, taking ownership for guitarists who would like to get back to getting better at the guitar? It means not accepting your own excuses anymore. It boils down to knowing the difference between a responsibility and being accountable. Just going through the motions of practicing or deciding that you're going to master a certain song or technique. That's the difference. And how does that relate to practicing the guitar? That you're taking it seriously. It means that you're taking control and you decided you're responsible for the outcome. And it means that you believe that you're going to be successful, even if the current course that you're on isn't producing results. Number 2, you do what you say you're going to do. You follow through with your plans, keeping the commitment to yourself. And number 3 is you're active. The time is now. You made a decision and you're done putting things off. And if you have, you decided that you're going to get back up on the horse and start again quickly. Also, it means that you're also directing your journey with the guitar by planning ahead. What's the action that you're going to take next? So taking it seriously, doing what you say you're going to do, and being active. But how about some benefits to this? What are the big benefits of being accountable in your guitar practice? It supercharges your progress. When you're accountable and you're struggling, you're actively looking for new ways around this problem. You know that if this isn't going to work, I got to find a way to do it. And you find new ways to accomplish your goals, and you get used to doing that. That becomes a habit. You're in a good place. You also get a sense of pride when you take ownership of your responsibilities. You know inside that if you hadn't pushed yourself, you probably wouldn't have accomplished anything. And that extra effort that you held yourself accountable for, it paid off. And you could do it again and again. Big benefit there. So another thing, say you struggle with this. Say you struggle with being accountable to yourself. You could start to do some partnering, becoming accountable to a group or another person. And this is something that helps a lot of guitar players, being accountable. It could be in lessons, or it could be in a band, or just having someone that you jam with. But making a commitment to get better results when another person is involved, it's really motivating. You don't want to let someone down. And some people just love competition with others. You know, somebody can do something, and you want to be able to do it too, or do it better. You know, that's part of it. Or just being part of a group that's together achieving success is very motivating. Whatever it is, though, you're owning the results. Not just you, but for the group, for others. And what's great about this is you get all the benefits of being accountable to yourself, the ownership, but you get some added value. Being accountable to other people, it helps you stay on course. When you're expected to tell others that you're going to do something and you do what you say you're going to do, you have another great benefit, which is focus. You're less likely to be distracted. If that's a problem for you, this could help. And you're more likely to put those other things off until you've finished doing what you're wanting to do, till you've moved past this one. This also happens in lessons or coaching, those things. This is something I deal with a lot. And when you have someone and you know that they've been there before and they're guiding you to a place you want to be, that's an extreme motivator. You want them to think that you're capable and also that you're appreciative for the guidance. Being accountable to your coach, your teacher, it's a great motivator. But what about something else? What about trying to keep up? Motivation central, right? This is huge. No one wants anyone else to think badly of them, right? And no one wants to feel like they're being left behind. So it lights a fire, right? When you're accountable to a group, they're progressing along. It spurs you along too. Or the opposite. If you're moving forward, if you're doing some really cool stuff and you're in a group, others start to try and catch up to you. It's a really cool thing. Okay, so this is, like I said, this is a shorter podcast, but I do want to give you your bonus here. And these are some easy steps you can take right now to add accountability to your guitar practice. It's so simple. It's these easy 3 questions that get the ball rolling. These are the things that are most likely something you've already thought about. They're in the back of your mind, but they need to come to the front. In fact, write them down and decide that you're going to stick to these things and be accountable to them. Here they are. Groundbreaking, right? What do you want to do? Sounds easy, right? But it's not. So many of us want to do so many different things. I know I could write down 10 different things I'd like to be able to do on the guitar. And we get spread out. We get ineffective. So we make a decision and work that decision until you're done with it. Next question is, how are you going to do it? Make yourself a game plan. Just take a shot at the steps it's going to take to achieve your goal. It'll change later on. 100% it'll change. As you're going through the process, you're going to know more about what you need to do. But writing it down ahead of time really points you in the right direction. And then number 3 is, when is it going to get done? That's it. Write that down. Put all 3 of these questions, write them down and put them right where you practice. And look at your answers to these questions before you practice each time. Number 1, I'm going to learn eruption. Number 2, how am I going to do it? I'm going to start learning tapping. And then I'm going to listen to the song and try and figure out which notes that I'm playing. And then I'm going to start at the beginning, work my way through, put it into sections. And there you go. Number 3, when is it going to get done? I'm going to give myself 3 weeks to be able to play it. There you go. Now you've got something to be accountable to. Decide you're going to do those things. And before you know it, you'll be on the right path there and things start moving forward. So that's it. I hope you really take a minute to think about this and put it into practice. This is something that came about. I've had students that I thought needed to hear this. And usually when I have an idea like that, it helps other people too. So I really hope that this struck a chord with you. And when you're ready to start practicing, if you haven't already got it, make sure you download my practice space checklist and get everything set up correctly so that when you are being accountable to what you want to do, you don't have things getting in your way and everything is set up just real nice. And that's over at playguitaracademy.com/practice. So that's a wrap. Thanks for joining me today for the Play Guitar podcast. Make sure to hit the button below to subscribe to the show. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit the notification bell so you can get all my content as soon as it comes out. For more lessons, episodes, and ways to get involved with the community, visit playguitaracademy.com. Thanks again, and I'll see you on the next episode.